day, students. My name is Ndafa Mungonena. I am your tutor for Mathematics, Didactics, and Learner Support, Module 1. Those are my contact details. You can contact me on my mobile number, and email is displayed there, preferably between 2 o'clock and 8 o'clock. I would like to welcome everyone to this course, and I wish you work hard in this course. We are going to look at some parts of your subject content, as well as some pointers for preparing for your examinations. We will look at the syllabus or the curriculum, the teaching methods, assessment, teaching materials in the classroom, as well as the theories. Let's get into it already. The syllabus or the curriculum, grade 10 and 11 syllabus. Before you be able to understand better your grade 10 and 11 syllabus, you need to as well as have a clear understanding of the junior secondary phase syllabus, that is grade 8 to 9 syllabus. I am mostly talking focused on the new syllabus. I understand your module is still based on the old syllabus, but it is very important, students, that you acquaint yourselves with the new syllabus. All right. The values and attitudes developed by doing mathematics. So this goes hand in hand with the why roles, or the roles that mathematics plays in the lives of the kids. Why is it important for learners to study mathematics? This is clearly outlined in your module, Unit 1. One of the reasons, for example, here is to be able to help learners navigate their lives in the modern world. What do we mean by this? This means the learners should be able to at least do simple things, for example, filing a tax return. It does not really require accounting for you to be able to file a tax return. And also things like budgeting. Mathematics help learners understand information around them. For example, there is information, statistical information that is given. Just an example to say, for example, 40% of the population are unemployed. This does not necessarily mean 40,000 people are unemployed. So a child who did mathematics will be able to understand this perfectly well. All right, the lesson plan components. The lesson plan has got many components, but the main 3 components are the objectives, the goals and objectives, and the second one is the activities, what you are going to do in the class as a teacher. And the last part is the assessment, or the tools that the teacher, as a teacher, you are going to use to assess or to check if the learners have understood the lesson. But in your module, there are about 8 of the components of a lesson plan that are outlined. So it's very important for you to look at the question, how many components of a lesson plan they are asking you to name, or probably you look at the marks allocated for that question, then you'll be able to outline a specific number of those components. So what you have outlined in your module is the first one, the goals and objectives, the anticipatory set, which is the prior knowledge, direct instruction, guided practice, all the way through assessment and follow-up, 8 of them. They are clearly outlined in your module, and you have also done this in your assignment. Now, the successful mathematics teacher. There are some outlined guidelines for you to be a successful mathematics teacher. Once again, this is in your module, so I'll just go through some of them. So the first one, for example, you should be able to accept the challenge of teaching mathematics. So we all understand and we all know that mathematics is not an easy subject. So as a teacher, you need to accept that challenge and educate yourself at all times. Second one, you should be able to recognize or be aware that some students have negative attitudes towards the subject, or simply to put it, they do not like mathematics. So that is still your duty as a teacher to make them love the subject, make it interesting. So that will help you to become a successful mathematics teacher. Moving on to the teaching methods, we have the first one here, group work. Group work is an interactive teaching strategy. So for you to be able to carry out successful group work, you need to consider some guidelines for that group work activities to be a success. Once again, this is outlined in your module in Unit 2. So some of these guidelines, for example, ask the learners to move in the groups quickly. They read the instructions, ask for questions or clarification if they do not understand, and most importantly, they do not divide work because they are working as a group. All right. Looking into now multicultural teaching strategies. When we are talking about culture here, we are not talking about traditional culture. We are talking about ethnicity, socio-economic background, the language, gender, and geographical origin. Also, here we are talking about the educational ability or disabilities. So as a teacher, you must be able to employ some multicultural teaching strategies to cater for all the learners in your class. This question was part of your assignment. That was question 1.1. That question was mention and explain 4 reasons for adopting a multicultural teaching approach in mathematics. So there you have 4 points that you have to explain. For example, this helps the teacher to make use of the learner's prior knowledge, because it's very important before you impart knowledge to the learners to understand what they know before, and they are from different cultural backgrounds and regions, so it's very important for the teacher to do that. All right, let's get now into the learner-centered approach. So the learner-centered approach is not to say that learners will take charge of a class, but rather to allow to give learners freedom to be actively involved in the lesson. And the teacher, you are there mostly as a facilitator. So this allows learners to take responsibility for their own learning. That is why learner-centered approach is recommended in the classroom. So you need to read further about why learner-centered approach is important for the teacher in the classroom. The strategies to teach each topic. So we have different types of topics, and each topic requires a different approach. So as a teacher, It's your responsibility to research and apply appropriate strategy to each topic. Moving on to assessment. Assessment is a way to check if the objectives or the goals and objectives of the lesson have been attained. So you need to understand the different types of assessments, such as summative and formative assessment. Okay, why assessment? So assessment is very important, as I've said, to be able to tell if the goals and objectives of the lesson have been attained. Do the learners understand what you are trying to convey to them? All right. Another part of assessment is setting up a question paper, which involves the examiner and the moderator. So you need to understand the different roles of the examiner and the moderator. So once again, this question was part of your assignment to outline the different roles of the examiner and moderator. So I need you to go through these roles again. All right, we have now the marking and the marking scheme. So this is the next step of assessment. You have to mark now and also have the marking scheme so that you'll be able to assess the learner's work. So the marking scheme has got different components, especially the types of marks. I want you to go through the types of marks. For example, the M1 marks, the method marks, how are they awarded? Okay, the B1 marks, the independent method marks, the A1 marks, which is accuracy marks, and so on. That will really help you in your marking as a teacher. And then the last part of assessment is the examiner's reports. So why are the examiner's report important for a teacher? So one of the importance of the examiner's report is for the teacher to be able to point out different aspects that needs improvement according to the way the previous learners answered the questions. All right, let's move to the teaching materials. We have different teaching materials, such as a calculator, textbooks, and internet. Many more, I did not mention them here. So whatever the teaching materials, you need to be able to explain why use each of them. For example, a calculator. Okay, it is very important to use a calculator to be able to help learners to work out answers faster sometimes. And then the textbooks, we all know textbooks, especially for mathematics, they help learners at least to have a lot of activities to work out and do more practice. And then we have the internet. In this world of today, the internet is a must-have for each student, as we have, for example, a lot of YouTube channels that explain mathematics easier or in easier ways to the students, or the students might be able to understand better from those videos. Now, in the classroom, here we want to look at the supportive classroom environment. The classroom environment is very important, and you need to be able to outline some of the requirements for a supportive classroom environment. Once again, this was question 3 of your assignment. Okay. You look at the question now. Are you asked to list this requirement for a supportive classroom environment, or are you asked to explain them? It's always very important to read the questions and also look at the marks that is allocated for each question. So for a supportive classroom environment, so you need to have, for example, displays on in the classroom. Anybody walks in the classroom, they can tell this is a mathematics classroom. So that way learners are at least enticed to work better in such a classroom. So learners arrive in an orderly fashion in the class, for example, that will help a supportive classroom. Or the teacher arrives on time to the class. That will help the learners do well in such a classroom. Okay, so the next part we have is inductive learning activities. So inductive learning activities, we are talking about activities that will allow learners to be able to collect information and draw conclusion from that information. Okay, the calculators use. I think I already talked about calculators use, why we need to use calculators in the classroom. Let's move on to the theories. One of the theories that we need to understand here is Van Hille's theory, which is a theory that describes how students learn in geometry. So Van Hille's levels of geometric thought, you have these levels from level 0 up to level 4. Once again, this was part of your assignment, so you should be able to list these levels as well as explain what each of these levels entail. Alright, the last part, I would just like to give you some pointers for your examinations. The very first one, when you are writing your examinations, try by all means to answer the questions you understand better first, instead of trying to answer them in the order they are given. That way you'll be able to at least finish to answer the questions that you know better. And the other one, we need to make sure we revise, we go through our materials properly. And I must say, students, that most of us, as I've seen in the assignment, most of us are writing word by word from the module. You need to stay away from writing that word by word in terms of academic honesty. It's a very serious offense if you copy word by word from the module. Thank you very much. That's all we had for this session. I wish you well in your preparations for your upcoming examinations. Good luck.